When people ask me what it feels like to follow my dreams and become a paramedic, I find it a very interesting question. Now, I'm somebody who's wanted to be a paramedic all my life from a young age. So, of course, the journey for me has been very interesting and highly rewarding. Now, my journey started back when I was younger. I, in fact, started by gaining qualifications very similar to the qualifications offered by the college here. So my journey was starting from a long, long time ago, back when I was about 8 or 9 years old. When I'd completed my college qualifications, I was over the moon. I was so excited to have undertaken it and completed it. So very, very exciting times, even at that earlier stage, before I got anywhere near the qualification of paramedic. And the reason I was so excited was because I knew I was getting closer and closer to my dream. Now, the next step was to get into university. And again, I'd actually applied for university before I'd finished my qualifications. And I considered myself very lucky to be able to get in and study the Bachelor of Paramedic Science. Of course, at that point, I was scared. I was excited. I had no idea what to expect. What was the differences between college level study and university level study? I was also very uncertain about my own skills and abilities. So I was particularly worried and scared and considering myself to be not good enough to study at bachelor's level. So all of these feelings and thoughts were running through me as I was going through my journey. Now, it was very early on in my first year that I realized, you know what, I can achieve this. So I remember completing my first lot of work and submitting it and getting feedback from the lecturers, and they were pass marks and a whole range of different grades. But it started to paint the picture for me that, you know what, I can achieve it. And I suppose a career defining moment for me was when I was in my first year of university and I did my very first clinical placement with the ambulance service. Now, the paramedics that I worked with, I was just in awe at their abilities and their skills and the things that they were doing and the sheer knowledge that they had. And that's what I wanted to be like. For me, they were my role models. So I continued on this journey, going through the university program, continuing to pass my studies. And let me just be realistic here. It wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. All of this came with commitment and determination, and of course with sacrifice as well. So I continued on my studies. And as I progressed through the university course, and as I was passing the units and passing the years of study, I suppose it was only really at the end of the program and I was at graduation when it really started to sink in. Wow, you know what, I've achieved this, and I've now made the grade and I've registered with the body of regulation in the UK, and I'm now a paramedic. And even then, it took about 6 months to a year for it to fully sink in as I was working as a paramedic. And let me be honest with you, working in any role where you're helping somebody is a hugely rewarding role. And I've had a number of different care roles throughout my career. So for example, before I even went to university and I was working part-time, I was in a care assistant role working in the local care home, looking after and helping to care for the elderly. And again, hugely rewarding. But for me, getting the role of the paramedic and registering and qualifying, it was just an amazing feeling. Of course, I took some people on that journey with me, my friends, my close friends, my family. And of course, they were all on that journey with me because I would routinely call them and contact them and say, look, this is really tough. I'm not sure I can achieve this. So of course, to celebrate at the end of it, they were all included in my celebrations. Now, again, there were a number of different points in my journey. One of the points was getting through my college and completing my college studies. Hugely exciting, very rewarding to have completed your studies successfully. Getting into the bachelor's, progressing through the bachelor's, working as part-time around my studies, qualifying with my bachelor's, and then registering as a paramedic, all really big milestones. Once I became a paramedic and started to work autonomously and independently away from a mentor, the learning didn't stop there and then. I continued to learn from my peers. I continued to learn from the research that I was doing, learning from my patients, but it continued to be a learning process for me. And then I started to become a role model for my peers as I started to take on board other people's opinions and listen and work as a team. So as you can see, it's something, working as a paramedic and fulfilling my dream is something that has happened over a long period of time. And it's hugely rewarding to be caring for patients in the community. When they dial 000 and you're the one that is receiving that call for help, and you're the one that turn up with the ambulance full of the equipment and the training and the mindsets and the skills and experience to be able to help them in their time of need, is hugely rewarding and comes with huge responsibilities too. And for me, my journey hasn't ended by any stretch of the imagination. I've worked through a number of teaching roles. I'm continuing to study through my doctoral studies, and I'm continuing to now share my experiences with my students. So in answer to the question, what does it feel like to become a paramedic? It's a feeling that is very difficult to describe, but involves excitement, fear, but also a feeling and a sense of reward as well.